Good afternoon, Ilona.
Great to see you, Cleona.
So great to
Very
see
nice
you.
to be with you.
Oh,
Thank you for inviting me.
and thank you for saying yes. I want to say that you've been a great guide for me with Liberation Unleashed and with individual video sessions. And to introduce you to my guests of my Little Conscious Money YouTube channel, you are the author of a book, Liberation Unleashed, a guide to breaking free from the illusion of a separate self. And you do amazing work with Liberation Unleashed, along with lots of other guides who are all volunteers. This is free, completely free. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself and where you are?
Well, I'm originally from Lithuania, but I spent 20 years in UK after finishing my psychology study. And later, me and my husband, we stayed in Mexico. And at this time, we are in Mauritius. So we have been around a little bit, and it's just nice to move and stay in a place where it's warm.
Yeah. If people are interested in your awakening journey, I would like to guide them to the interviews that already are on your channel, and then maybe also with Rick Archer, Buddha at the gas pump, which showed a very different, younger Ilona. But it was such a good interview. You're pretty much the same. You were so clear. You and your co-host guest, so clear about what Liberation Unleashed could do and was. And could you speak a little bit about Liberation Unleashed, because people might not be aware of what that is?
Okay. Well, it all started in 2010 when I saw something so simple and so profound that I thought I need to share this with all the seekers, because everyone is looking for something and nobody knows where to look for it. I didn't know where to look for it until I was pointed directly, look at this. There's nobody here running the show, separate from life, in control of life happening. And when I faced that, when I saw that, it was just such a relief. And it felt like, finally, now I get what all these sages and teachers and gurus are talking about. So this profound shift made me realize that I have to show this to other people, because otherwise I don't have anyone to talk with. So that's how it started. And in 2011, Reach project was started, and there what's happening there, that people come in, they get guided, they see and they guide, and it's all for free. It's been so many years now, 12 years, and it's still running, and we still have a waiting list on the forum. So everyone is welcome to join the forum and have a guide free of charge and see what it's all about, because that one little shift turned my life from this to this in an instant. Even though it kept going later and a lot of clearing happening, there's this fundamental sense of being okay. It's okayness and inner peace. So my work since then is just to help.
Amazing. It's not easy to keep something going for so long on a voluntary basis. I was wondering, where does this energy come from, this motivation, this juice to, keep going?
Okay, well, my job there was to set the structure so it runs itself. Apparently I succeeded.
Wow, yes, unbelievable. And I wanted to explore more about your relationship with money and your thoughts about money, work, purpose, success. These words can be very loaded. Money itself is a very loaded word. And I think when we are blocked with money, we are also blocked with life. So although I use the word money, conscious money, I think what I mean is just, how to live spontaneously, freely, a life that you want to enjoy. What does money mean to you now, and what did it mean before, if you remember?
Yes, I remember. Yes, I come from a poor family, let's say this. Poor background. My parents didn't have money. They only, went to work, got the, how much. There for a month, they would spend everything by the end of the month. And then there was struggle. That's how I grew up. And it was a struggle for me a long time. And I knew that I had to look at these beliefs that I got from my parents. Because money is energy, money is life, it flows freely. But if there are some blockages, if there are some beliefs that do not allow that money to come in, stay and go, then we are struggling. So I did a lot of work on that. And I think what helped me in the beginning was EFT. It's just feeling this lack, feeling this need, desire for money. It helped. The biggest fear I experienced in my life was fear of not having money. And that happened in Mexico. It was crazy, because we went there, we had a few thousand pounds, but when you're staying there without work, it starts going down and down and down, and then I remember I would wake up in the middle of the night in dread, like, oh my God, it's going to run out. It's going to run out, and I don't know what to do. And then this and that happens, and it's even less. But it was so interesting to observe that fear of money running out, even though at that time it didn't. But it would wake me up at night, and it was just this very raw and very strong sensation. I wasn't afraid of it. It was kind of interesting what's going on there. And sure thing, if there is fear, the money is just leaving. It just helps it to go away from me. And at some time later, maybe a year later, that moment happened. I had no money at all. And it was okay. And it was like, oh my God, the fear of not having money is so much worse than not having it in the moment.
Bingo.
That was great to see. It's the fear that is hurting us, not the amount.
And was this after the shift that you felt this fear?
Yes. That was, I think, 2018, something like that.
Okay, yeah. Because one of the myths is that if you have this shift, then life is all Disney World, but it's not like that. You still face.
No. Seeing non-self, or that there is nobody running life, it's another word for seeing that everything runs on its own by itself. So all these patterns that are there, they don't disappear because you see that they run by itself. So we have to look at them, question them, feel the feelings, go through the clearing, whichever way, whichever modality, to get that space open up. Because it doesn't open up just because I'm okay. Anything can happen. Right, so feeling that fear also was okay. And having no money, it was okay. So that okayness is something that mind maybe doesn't understand, but it's there.
Were there any specific beliefs that you can remember that you had?
Oh, well, if you don't work, you don't have money. Or that you have to work hard to earn money. That's from my father, for sure.
Right.
Even though he works hard all his life, he has money. Yeah, so I came from the background rich of beliefs around money. So for me it was easy. I just make a call and have a chat, how is it going, and I hear everything. I hear everything that's running here until I kind of question it if I need these beliefs, so are they serving me anymore?
It's crazy how we absorb certain beliefs. Like my mother's, bless her, she came from a good place, but she was a single mother, and her message was, you have to rely on yourself, not a man. But when I started my business, I needed to allow my husband to pay the bills for the first year, and I was living on my savings. But there was such a discomfort. But it's not true. Like, I can rely on him and he can rely on me, and it's got nothing to do with a man or a woman, or it's just it's something that I released. But when I do money workshops, there are many beliefs that people have. One of this is I must work hard to earn money, I must struggle. With women, sometimes they overgive, and they sometimes confuse money with caring. If I ask for less money, then I'm caring about the person more. And then there's something about I must be really competent and have many qualifications before I start this venture, so that there are these unquestioned ideas. So if you are like, if we are not, so that was very hard for me, because I really believe in personal responsibility. So when I learned about this about 5 years ago, I was like, because it was just too much for me. Because I was like, what do you mean? Like, I do certain things and certain things happen. I was very attached to my achievements and blah, 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 which now I see is all rubbish. But how do you balance, even with awakening, you can't sit on a sofa and expect it to happen. You have to do the work of inquiring. So how do you balance the effort with the non-doership?
Lightly. That's the thing, lightly. It's not so serious. So yes, it needs effort. You go and do what needs to be done, but it's not like, oh my God, if I don't do this, this is the end of the world. Oh, I have to do this because I'm not good enough, and I have to prove something to someone, or if I don't do this, they're not gonna love and appreciate me. It's just like, okay, I need to do this, I do this, without any mental noise in the head about what should and shouldn't be happening. And yes, that's true. You can't just sit on a sofa and wait for things to come. Things come when you make a step. Like, you make a step and it meets you. You make a new step and it meets you. It's kind of like this. So there is this trust in can call it higher power or life or God or whatever, or intelligence, depends on your upbringing and how you see this. But we are that. We're not apart or separate from that. So we do not need to decide how life should appear. It appears for us and as us.
Yeah, I love that. I love that simple answer. There was a book I read some time ago called The Universe Has Your Back. And I said that to one of my clients, life supports us. And she said, okay, yeah, Cleona, that's all great. That sounds great. That's a lovely soundbite. What about the people in Ukraine? What about the people in Russia? And she looked at me like I had two horns coming out of my head and I didn't have a wise response. So can I throw the ball to you?
The wise response about how people, well, everyone is on their own path. And we can only know what's in our path, and we can only take care of what is here. And if from here there is a move or inspiration to share or do something, then obviously yes, we can do it. Otherwise, we can sit and think about people in Ukraine and feel sorry for them, but nothing happens because of that thinking.
Yeah.
So it's either if I hear feeling my feelings and I feel sorry and upset and scared for them, it's my job to attend to these feelings. And if something comes out from that, then great. If that was it, that's it. But it's also trusting that everyone is in their own place, in the right time, in the right place, and they cannot be anywhere else. And we don't need to solve their problems. There is experience happening here, and this is one to attend, to be present to, and to take action from here. That would be my response. So, because people in Ukraine is just an image in the head.
Yeah.
Until you are there, you cannot know how it is.
Yes. Attending to feelings. I had a journalist contact me for an interview, and she asked me, how do you deal with disappointment? And I said, I feel it. And actually, I don't think my answer would have been that before, knowing about this. Because I think that's the classic response is if it's uncomfortable, we avoid. Naturally, why would you go towards? And I wanted you to talk about this deep looking process because I think, there are discomfort in the body. Like sometimes it can be silly things like splitting a restaurant bill. Somebody orders a lot of alcohol on the table. You don't know them well and they ask you to pay. And it's like, oh, there's some discomfort here, Or it could be something quite big, like your partner has put you into debt and you don't know about it and you find out. Many scenarios. But I found it really helpful and I'd love if you could explain.
Thank you. That's a great question. Okay, so talking about money. Right, you just sit, take a few deep breaths, and you invite this word money. Money. And then you start noticing what sensations arise in your system. Like where is the tightness of opening, and how do you feel? What is this relationship with money innerly, in sensations?
Mm-hmm.
So if there is some tightness, you tell it, I see you, here you are, welcome, thank you for coming. And you just let it be. You don't need to do anything for it or with it. Your attention itself helps it to self-resolve and self-liberate. Just being present, being open, so you feel that tension, and if it's still staying here for a longer time, you can talk to it. I know it sounds weird, but you can. You can say, what are you? Or what do you want the most? Or even what were you before you got into this shape and form? Just these questions, they only help to hold focus on that sensation so you don't wander away thinking something else. So when there is a question, it's just waiting for the answer. You're listening to your own system, seeing what's happening in there, in the sensations. And that attention alone is like electricity that comes in and goes like, oh, we can open up here. See? Yeah, this is just a very short description, but it's literally whatever is arising in the body as a sensation. You acknowledge it, you welcome it, you honor it, you allow it, letting it be. being okay, noticing that it is safe to feel and it is safe for that contraction to be here. And just watching it move, change, self-transform without any effort. So if the question is about money, then you can look at money coming in, how you feel, what's arising in you, if money is coming in, and how much is it comfortable to let in. What if it's 10,000, 20,000, 50,000? Now what's comfortable? And you will see that limitation there, because it starts feeling uncomfortable, and then you can look at that discomfort, and again, letting it be, observing it, watching it. Something happens. It's not because you're doing it, it's because of the presence, letting it be, not running away. That's the key. It's not running away from these uncomfortable or bad or negative or whatever we are used to call these sensations. And I can share one story that happened. So you see that it's not about the money, it's not about the amount, it's not about that, but it's about the feeling. So basically I was working with two women, mother and daughter, and they both had the same problem. Daughter had 1,000 in the bank, and she was feeling that it's not enough, that she's failing, that it's a horrible situation. And her mother said to me that she had 300,000 in the bank, and she was feeling the same.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with the amount, it's about the feeling.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with whatever is here? And when you're comfortable with whatever is here, freedom. The money comes in, comes out, and stays, and does its own thing. It's energy, like air. Like what we breathe.
Yeah.
We don't struggle breathing and thinking, oh my God, if I breathe this in, then somebody else has less air.
Yeah. Yeah. I once had a client who had a lot of money and he was scared. He wouldn't invest it because he was scared to lose it. But it's sort of like you can't do much when you hold on to money like this, you know? It has to flow. And you have to trust that the flow returns. And I wonder what your thoughts are about things like generosity.
I'm mostly generous with cats at these times. Here in this country, there are so many homeless animals. So my generosity at this time in life is buying food for them and feeding them. So it's not charity or helping somebody else. It's immediate environment. And somebody is in need. It doesn't matter if it's a human or a cat or a dog. Like, what can I do for them? What can I give?
Yes.
Yes. And when we give freely, we receive freely. So what we give out, it comes back. As much as you are able to give freely, that amount is just coming back. As much as you spend, you get back. And some of it stays. And it also depends how comfortable you are with the amount that it stays. Do you need to hold on to it? Are you in a hurry to spend it because you cannot hold it? So it's all these beliefs around money that you can look at. And my view is, if you are giving freely, it comes back freely. If you are holding on and afraid, then the last penny will leave you.
It likes to flow, it likes generosity. And I also think sometimes people really can't give money. Like let's say it's a mum and she has many children and, you know, they need medical care. But there are people that are very generous with their time, with their presence, with their cooking, with their service. There are other ways to be generous. But I think that spirit of generosity does make you focus on, like just the act of giving, I don't know, is expansive.
And I also find that there is feeling of gratitude both in receiving and in giving it away. Like, how? Thank you for receiving it, thank you, but I'm giving it, thank you. Thank you for what this money came here to do, like my electricity or my house or taxes. And the more I give, really, the more it's free to come back.
One of the questions I have, and I'm very fond of this teaching of this teacher called Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, and it's called Nonviolent Communication. And it's a way of expressing what's going on in your heart. But normally the way we communicate is through judgments and, you know, blame and all that stuff. And in that, needs are central. So the needs that we have. So human needs like connection. Like you said, you know, I set it up. I was so excited about this that I wanted to share it with other seekers. So contribution, things like that. Sometimes I hear non-dual teachers say things like, you know, I'm beyond needs. And that confuses me a little bit because, What are your thoughts?
Well, saying I'm beyond needs, you don't escape everyday life. So it's being real with what is here. It's beyond maybe thinking about these needs, and action happens when you're inspired to do something. It just happens. But everyday life is still everyday life, and there are needs. I need food, I go and buy it. My cats are hungry,
Yeah.
So I don't think that this awakening to non-duality of life is in any way, in a way, obstructing living normal everyday life. It's actually, you become more real and more listening to your own need. Whatever is here, it's visible, and I don't think it's a problem to take care of stuff that needs to be taken care of.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And if you
there is nobody here, there is nobody here wanting anything. Okay, it's just a pointer. It's just one moment in time. You need to realize something so that pointer is useful. Otherwise, it's not the truth. The truth is living human, living experience.
Yes. And I remember what you said to me about awakening is it's not like a thing, it's not like an event, it's now, every moment to be here, to be present.
Here.
Yeah.
Where else can we be? We can only be
true.
here. And we can be dreaming about what is not happening, but that is not really useful unless it's entertaining.
Yeah. Yes. What do you think about purpose? Like, lots of human beings talk about purpose and vision for their life and goals, and that's also what I do for a living. I help people to achieve their financial goals,
Nice.
It's nice to talk about as part of the character. Is that what you mean? It's nice?
It's nice to be able to help somebody to achieve their goals. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Somebody has a goal and they go for it and they need a hand. It's wonderful to be able to assist and support and see people flowering. Yes.
Yeah.
But what is the goal of life? Like what is the goal of music? The goal of music is to be enjoyed, like every moment of it. Not like finishing the song is the goal, or achieving some certain note is the goal. The goal is to enjoy it, to feel it, to be moved, to experience. And if your goal is to achieve something, great, but maybe the goal is to be at peace. Something that lasts, that is not coming and going because you suddenly achieved something, a little bit of satisfaction, but other than that, new tension coming up, there's a new wanting, new goal. But if you're at peace, you can enjoy whatever is here.
And I think most people, when I'm just talking in general, are not at peace. There's a lot of restlessness. There's a lot of being on the phones, avoidance, Netflix. Nothing wrong with those things, but it's the amount of time we spend on our screens and the number of times we're touching our phones. And also, it's very easy for us to be manipulated when we have these needs for approval from others and status, and it's really easy for somebody to sell us a car because blah blah blah, aspirational, blah blah blah. Yeah, so I was wondering what.
Okay, well, I can say we all seek pleasure and avoid pain. And if there is something uncomfortable, we want to escape or run away or repress that so we don't feel it. So we're looking for pleasure in little things like TikTok or Netflix, or shopping, or buying a new car.
Yeah.
That pleasure is it's like a stick. One end is pain, another end is pleasure. So we are always balancing on that stick. But what if it's okay to feel both pleasure and pain? What if it's here today and there tomorrow, and it's okay? So we don't need to run away anymore. We can feel it all. Experience life as it shows up.
Yes, that's beautiful. One form of wealth is also relationships, like relationships with family, with friends, with communities, wherever you are. And are they still, do you still have conflicts with people and things like that? There's a subtle expectation that, it will magically disappear. If I'm awakened, then I will be above it.
Well, it's interesting because I don't have conflict, but other people may have conflict with me.
Right.
So I have to participate.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I have a conflict in between them, and I still have to participate. But I don't have conflict with them as they are. Okay, I can get angry and upset. Like, for example, I went to visit my parents, And I'm staying there for 1, 2, 3 days, and on a third day, a whole display of old patterns is just opening up in a way that is ugly. And I don't want to be there. It's that you can, do your thing, while I'm not here. But I am here, and I can get upset because these patterns are useless, they are painful, and nobody there wants to acknowledge that. So in that way, yes, I do get into trouble, not because I have a conflict with them. It's just that the patterns are patterns, they still play out, and my being present doesn't really change other people's perspectives or what's going on for them. And we're all in the same place, in the same reality, except that we see it differently, and that perception is what causes the conflict.
I think you said on Rick Archer's interview that your husband argues with you, but you don't argue with him.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I can still get angry at my husband.
Yeah, okay. That's good to know.
I'm not a robot.
Okay, yeah. So human emotions are free to arise if they so show up.
Yes, they're free to arise, free to be acknowledged and be dealt innerly, not dealt, but met with honoring. And you don't need to express every emotion or like, look at me, what I'm feeling. You can just go in, feel, let it resolve, and be okay again. Feel clear.
Yeah. The world would be, this is my character coming in, trying to say, the world would be so good if we could all do that. But I can see that it's just, again, my thoughts. But I mean, there are facts about life. Like there's a high degree of male suicides. There's a high amount of anxiety. I think I read a statistic that the number of deaths, teenage deaths in the US has shot up in the last 2 years after the COVID, and due to drugs or guns, but also suicides. And our relationship with emotions, it's not something that we are necessarily taught how to. It's okay to feel anger. It's okay to be sad. How to be with these emotions in a healthy way. And this character now wants to say deep looking should be taught in schools,
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, the very first thing is to recognize that it is safe to feel. It is completely safe to feel whatever is here, in whichever intensity. There is never too much. Even that feeling too much is okay to feel. So when you notice that it's safe to feel, then that running away from unpleasant can stop, and there is more space to look at what is arising. That's the fundamental thing, is to recognize that it's safe to feel what you feel. And you recognize that by checking. It's not a philosophy or a belief. You can, whatever you are feeling in a moment, when you remember to check, you can check. Is it safe to feel this? That's huge. When you recognize that, it's huge, because then that means you don't need to be afraid of future emotions and try to manipulate and control situations in order not to feel something that you don't want to feel.
Yeah, guilty. Yes, and a lot of energy can be spent in trying to manipulate and control, and whereas
and it's all in the head, because there is no control in reality. Reality is already here. It's not in the future. It's here.
Yes. That exercise you have on Liberation Unleashed about the turning of the hands and trying to find the decision maker, because I thought, of course, I'm thinking I'm going to turn my hand. That's why my hand is turning. But sometimes I would say turn, and my hand wouldn't turn. So I was like, oh my God, there are some great exercises which show you that you're not in control. But of course, that's quite threatening to hear. So as a financial planner, the last 2 years have been very difficult with the stock market. Stocks go up, stocks go down, and when people see their portfolios going up 10%, 12% a year or 8% a year, they're happy. But if it looks minus 12, it's very threatening for the system. And again, like, we're just not in control of what could happen, because sometimes people say, like, is this a good time to invest? Should I do this, that? But there isn't at all that predictability about life. One thing I see is avoidance about investing or making money decisions. Because I really think that financial planners like me would be a redundant job if there wasn't that avoidance, of money, engaging with money. Do you invest? You don't have to answer. Okay. Okay.
Well, I guess there are still some patterns in the system that haven't been looked at.
Yeah.
And from my upbringing, there was no no money to invest. There was no teaching or no knowledge about investing. So, and I'm not that interested because I'm relaxed. What needs to come in comes in. What needs to go goes. What needs to stay stays. So, why think about this? And maybe it's not a very wise way to live, but it works for me.
Yeah, whatever works, as they say. I was at a money workshop once where there was a man who was like anxious, and we looked at his process, and he was worried about, I should have a pension, but I don't care about a pension. And after the process, he said, I don't care about my pension, and it's okay.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. The should is very, it's always a thought that needs investigating.
Life is taking care of you.
Yeah, I do really believe that. We've talked a lot about the not having enough money, but there are also people who feel guilty about having more than others or too much money. They feel guilty, they're uncomfortable with it. And that's also just a thought, isn't it? Yeah. It's just the thinker coming in with what it should look like.
Well, again, it's from their upbringing. Like, you have to be worthy to receive that money, so there may be a question of being unworthy. Or you have to give back to the community because you are so blessed, and unless you give it back, you can't really own it, or you can't really receive it. So there are a lot of beliefs around that. But again, it's
about rich
about
people.
The amount. It's about feeling. So unless that contraction is being addressed and met and truthfully felt, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world or with your bank account. That feeling is how we see the world, how we see that bank account. So if I look at the beliefs as an operating system or some kind of code through which we see the world, and these beliefs, when they are not true, when they are not supporting, they hurt. So it's the lie that hurts. All these contractions are lies that are being still held on to. I can recognize them, and I can start looking at them and looking for them and start digging deeper what's going on there. So if it hurts, it's a lie. The truth is open and free, and it's joyful and peaceful. Most of it, it's peaceful. But if there are lies, it's pain.
Yeah. At the same time, because you're from Lithuania, I'm from India, there is a lot of poverty also that we see, and I don't know about their beliefs, but sometimes people are really oppressed, This is what I've seen in India, is like they're just so poor and they're really oppressed, and sometimes there might be like a caste system or something, and they're not in the system, they're not allowed to progress further than certain jobs. But it is helping me a lot to think, I don't know how life should be.
Yeah, when I was in Mexico, and also there are so many poor people living there, but what I saw, they're happy, they're enjoying life. They're singing songs in a bus. Shouldn't be this or that, as long as they are comfortable where they are. So it's not about gaining or losing. It's about being comfortable with whichever way life is expressing in the moment.
Yeah. Intuition, is that something that you, like when you make decisions, does that play a big part now?
I don't think that much.
Yeah. So, like, suppose you got an email from somebody like me saying, "Hi, Ilona, I'd like to interview about blah blah blah." There's not much thinking. Okay.
Yes, sounds good.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
But it doesn't mean that I don't make stupid decisions. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But then I have to meet the consequences as well. Perhaps it's a learning that was needed. But intuition for me is that knowing your inner yes and your inner no. Recognizing that yes or no. Sometimes it's being recognized, sometimes not. Practice and learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning more. So life is not like, okay, now it's all fixed, all is good. No.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And sometimes the biggest mistakes can be big learning opportunities. I think there was a woman called Janine Roth, and she had a chat with Eckhart Tolle. And she had invested money with the Madoff family, the Ponzi scheme. She lost all her life savings, and it brought her to her knees, because something like that, where you've worked hard all your life and you have an identity of being successful, whatever that might be. Yeah, it was a very interesting conversation she had with Eckhart Tolle about how that was actually something that helped her. Yeah, so we don't know. Yeah.
Well, we get lessons that we need to learn all
Yeah.
the time. Question is,
Yeah.
are we seeing them? Are we learning them? Or are we going back into the old pattern?
Yeah.
And the old pattern is coming up to be seen, so it can drop away.
So the invitation is, when you are suffering, when you're hurting, when you're in pain, to look, to investigate. Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of avoid.
Not out
Face
there,
it.
nobody else has your answers. It's here, and it's already felt.
Yeah. And Ilona, you also run Zoom meetings, and I will put all the information in the description, as well as a copy to your book.
Well, yes, come to the Zoom meetings. It's every month, and it's for free, and people just come together and we look at whatever you bring, emotion, question, situation. We can look together and bring some light into it, so if something gets lifted up and self-resolves. So you're very welcome to join. And what else? Yeah, if you need my private help, you can find me through my website, which is my name, ilonaciunaite.com. You can set up some sessions. I offer half an hour free session for anyone who wants it. So you can use this opportunity, and just meeting me, you can kind of see where you are. I'm not gonna tell you; you will see it yourself.
Yeah. And I offer 1 hour free sessions for, well, to you, if you want to talk about investing, Ilona. So get in touch whenever you wish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this time. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I think it will be very helpful for people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for opening this up for everyone.